And we are going live. Coming to you live from my place. Welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be doing some more D&D 5th edition homebrew for a stat block. In this particular case, as ARTANIS from Heroes of the Storm has won the last week's poll, we will be turning the design of ARTANIS from Heroes of the Storm specifically, not from StarCraft 2. I don't care what he did in that game. I am much more interested in how the design of the MOBA can be turned into a stat block, because MOBAs were purpose-built to be much more, I guess, protagonisty about the characters. StarCraft 2, they existed, absolutely, but in terms of the game design of what they can do, it was a lot less, look at all the crazy stuff I can do, and much more, how do I fit within an army? So, that is the reason why I am focusing on the, as I say, the MOBA design, rather than the RTS design. So, what does that mean for our design today? We are going to do what we usually do, and we are going to just go for what do they do, what are they good at, how can we turn them into an interesting character to fight, an interesting character to run as someone who would be perhaps fighting against your player characters. Obviously, there's a certain level of science fiction in this character, being from the StarCraft universe, but fortunately, as anyone switched on to the history of D&D will know, psionics and ancient technology that looks kind of magical, but it's actually probably some sort of old piece of tech. It is deeply rooted in the origins of pulp sci-fi adventure that came into D&D. If you want me to cite my sources, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. So, what are we going to start with? Obviously, we're going to start with the easy stuff. We're going to go ARTANIS, Hierarch of the Dalam. Size, he's a dude. He's a Protoss dude. He's certainly a lawful good creature, without a doubt. Armor class and everything, we'll worry about that later. Speed is probably going to just be regular everyday 30 feet. He's going to have a pretty high con, I think. He's very tough to take out. I think he's going to have sort of a similarly matching strength and con, personally. Because what he can do, how powerful he is going to be tightly tied to his abilities and his traits. Charisma, he is a leader. He is a charismatic leader, so I think we're going to give him something like a 15 charisma. Wisdom, he's got, as described in his lore, actually, he has centuries of experience. Let's have a look at this. I'm pretty sure it's in there somewhere. As a renowned Templar with centuries of experience, so he's old. He's quite old. Young for the purposes of the Protoss, of course. So his wisdom is going to be kind of high as well. Intelligence, he's tactical leader. His dex, I think, is going to be fairly low, because especially when you look at him, he's very big and bulky. Like, check this out. Check out all that crazy armor that he's got on. So he's going to have a pretty high armor class. But he's not going to be too high, and you'll see why. You'll see why, based on the abilities that he has. For his... what's this? His intelligence. His intelligence, I think, is probably something like a 15 as well. Personally, you know what? Let's give him... because he is a psionically powerful character. Let's give him a higher strength and a higher charisma to really hammer home how dangerous he is. He doesn't need that high of a constitution because, as I say, you'll see why in a little bit. Specifically in his traits. There we are. So, challenge, I don't know what challenge he's going to be. He's going to be pretty tough to kill, though. He's going to be quite a high CR. He's also not necessarily a character that your players would come into conflict with. This may well be the sort of guy who you fight because of a misunderstanding, I think. There would be a misunderstanding where you start fighting him, and over the course of the fight you have to kind of... Or, very good for an evil campaign. Very good for an evil campaign. We need more evil campaigns, I think. I think more people need to get comfortable with the fact that you don't always have to be the hero. However, the important part is that you need to be aware that you have to play well with other players. To be a good player, you have to play well with others. You have to understand that one of the pieces of advice that I heard very recently, there are 3 things that make, and I believe this, I agree with this opinion, 3 things in particular make for a very important character, make for being very important to a character. You need to enjoy the character, your DM needs to enjoy the character, and your fellow players need to enjoy the character. If one of those is false, then I think there's going to be problems. There's going to be problems. Playing the rogue that you really like playing, and it's a lone wolf, and it doesn't want to be bogged down by other people, well, that means that the other players are probably not going to enjoy your character. And probably the GM's not going to either, because the GM is there to try and get you guys to work together. You need to put in some effort to work together with your fellow players. Anyway, so... saving throws, I think it's probably... I'm tempted to make it strength and charisma. Strength and charisma, yeah. Because I think of ARTANIS very much like a paladin. Except he doesn't use supernatural abilities that casts, spells based on his charisma or anything. His skills are certainly going to be Arcana. Plus X, we'll just put that in there for now. I think Intimidation. I think Persuasion and Intimidation, certainly. Because he can be intimidating when he wants to, but he prefers to rely on Persuasion. We're not going to give him Deception, because he's a lawful good person. He doesn't want to be lying to people. Athletics, actually. Yeah, let's give him Athletics. Very good. Vulnerabilities, I don't think we're going to be having vulnerabilities. Resistances, I think it's going to be that good old bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical sources. Damage immunities, I don't think is going to have any. I'm tempted to give him immunity to force, but I don't think I should give him immunity to that. Although I guess force is probably a rare enough form of damage. Yeah, I think it's a rare enough form of damage that it's not ridiculous, and it kind of fits with the fact that he's the psionic warrior. Condition immunities, I think he can't be frightened. I think he cannot have the frightened condition onto him. Damage resistances, I think he's going to have psychic damage resistance. Senses, he's going to have a passive perception, of course, of we don't know what. Since we haven't given him that as a skill, I think we just stick with that 12. I think do Protoss have dark vision? Can they see in the dark? I don't think they can. I think they have regular eyes just like we do. We're going to go medium humanoid. Languages is, of course, common because whatever, and Protoss. Languages we're going to put in for communicates all languages extra psionically. I'm actually going to put that into his traits, to be honest. Extra psionic communication. There we go. ARTANIS is a Protoss, which is a species that lacks a mouth. ARTANIS communicates by psionically broadcasting what he is saying around him in the same way that a species with regular vocal cords and a mouth would. There we go. Because that is what Protoss do. They broadcast what they are saying psionically, rather than, and it doesn't sound like it's in your head. It's like it translates it to vocal, so it's like they're speaking, but because they are an alien species, well, they're a little bit different. They're a little bit weird. They're a little bit strange. His other trait is a very important one. Let's go to his abilities. Where is he? Shield overload. There we go. So, bread and butter, core part of the design for ARTANIS is going to be based around this, because it is its passive ability. When he takes damage while below 75%, we might make that bloodied for our purposes. He gains a shield, temporary hit points, for some amount of time. And when he hits with a basic attack, he lowers the cooldown. So I don't know if that's going to be something that we put into it, because real-time cooldowns and things aren't a thing in turn-based combat. So we could give it like a recharge die, or we could make it so that whenever he strikes, it refreshes this ability. So you've got to burst him down over the course of like 1 or 2 rounds, which is how you kill him in the game. If you can burst him down before he can get those attacks off, then you can deal with him. Let's see. When ARTANIS would take damage while at or below half of his maximum hit points, he first, important sequencing there, he first gains, I don't know how many, I think, you know what, this could be based around his hit dice. He expends his hit dice to give himself a shield. Yeah. He first expends up to X hit dice and gains... He first expends up to X hit dice, rolling those dice and gaining the total plus his Constitution modifier for each hit die expended in temporary hit points. Boom. Done. There we go. So that's what it looks like right now. We can always change it later. So now, a boss monster uses their hit dice for something. It's kind of cool, because it means that he gets this ability, but he's expending something. You can wear him down. You can wear him down. So I don't know what the limit is going to be on how many hit dice he can expend. Maybe we just make it that he can expend all of it. But it may be that we have another ability that triggers off of that. Maybe it's linked to his Constitution modifier. Maybe he can only spend, in this case, 3 of his hit dice at any one time. Yeah. As a free action, he can burst. Yeah. There we go. So it's a free action. It just happens. It's not a reaction. It's just a thing that happens because his shield is a device that is implanted into his armor. And I think this is going to be something that is going to be an item that that players can loot. If you kill Artanis, or if he gives you his armor, he would never do that unless you kill him, and then you have to have it refitted, of course. Then you get this ability, which is kind of cool, I think. So maybe we do make it a reaction. Maybe we do make it a reaction. I think we do. That makes sense to me. He can first use his reaction to expend up to X hit dice. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Perfect. I think that's a lot better. Let me just check something real quick. Did that not happen? No, it did happen. Okay, cool. Alright. So his other abilities, what does he got? Blade Dash. This is a fairly standard, it's going to be an action, of course. Blade Dash, he dashes in a direction, deals a little bit of damage, and then he returns to his previous reaction. And every enemy hit reduces the cooldown on shield overload by a second. How could we make that work? We could make it so that every enemy he hit adds a free die to his next shield overload. Ooh, that could be interesting. So it would incentivize the GM to be really aggressive with him and hit a bunch of people and gives them a resource to track. That could be interesting. So let's go for this. We're gonna go ability description, Blade Dash. Attack style is it is a melee weapon attack. Attack bonus to hit. What CR? Because that's important to worry about here. Let's open up our handy dandy guide that we have for ourselves. It could be... I think he's like a CR 13 personally, because that's like +5s, usually gets 3 attacks. 2 kind of works for our purposes, but I think we're going to go for 3. I think we're going to make him a CR 13. CR 13, and 13 is 10,000 XP. So do we just go like this? Yeah. We'll just do this. Challenge 13 and 10,000 experience. Blade Dash. So that means that his proficiency is going to be a +4. So that means that we can start filling these out. His strength is +8. His charisma is +7. His arcana is going to be based off his intelligence. So that means that is a 6. Athletics is a 4/8, Intimidation is a 7, and Persuasion is a 7. Very good, very good. So how many hit dice is a... So that the guide reckons that they have around 210 hit dice. Now the thing that hopefully I remembered to do this... Did I bookmark the hit dice thing? I don't know if I did. I'm going to be really annoyed with myself if I did. If I didn't, rather. D&D 5e hit dice monster calculator. Is that the thing that I use? Yeah, there we go. Right, it is. I need to rename it. Hit dice calculator. Done. Okay, so he's a medium, so he uses D8s. Although not necessarily. For his constitution, what does a 13d8 give us? With a +3, that's only 97. So we need to give him more. They reckon he has 210, so that would be 28 hit dice. That seems a little ridiculous, because he also has that he has the shield overload. So I think maybe we can give him half of that. I think that could work. And we make the average 105, because then he can gain up to another 105, which brings us up to that 210 number. Yeah, that can work. So this is a 14, whoops, no, 105, which is 14d8, plus, what is that? I've forgotten how it works now. Oh yeah, 14 times 3, that's what we want, so 42. That's interesting. Okay. Cool. Oh, that's by rolling. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Good. Very nice. So we've got all those numbers now, which is very good for us. So his attack is going to be his strength plus his proficiency, which is a +8. +8 to hit. That's what we like. Reach range. Now this is interesting because for this, range is 8. What's 8 squares? That's far too many. I think this is gonna be 6 squares is 30 feet. I think maybe this is a 4 squares, so that's a 20 foot. 20 foot range. All targets in line. All creatures, rather. On a hit, how much damage? The guide reckons that it should be... Oh, sorry, CR13 is a +5 modifier, so these are actually a little bit higher. It's a +5, not a +4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up to... I think he can expend as many hit dice as he wants. I think actually up to half. Can expend up to half of his hit dice. Artanis's hit dice are treated as expendable resources for the purpose of this ability. There we go. Because this sort of concept, I think, is kind of new to... It would be very new to GMs who have never used hit dice for monsters before. Like, personally, I love putting creatures in front of my players and then rolling the hit dice for them, and not just giving them the average, because it means that some goblins are weaker than others, some goblins are stronger than others, and it makes it a lot less samey. One of my favourite things that happened was when I threw some goblins at people and they dealt 7 damage, and they played D&D 5th edition before, and they were like, okay, so 7 damage kills it? And I said, no. And they went, what do you mean? I said, I rolled really high for the hit dice. And they said, you did what? And they were really confused by that concept. They'd never seen it before. So no, we don't want any music with vocals, please. On a hit, this is going to deal... How much does the guide reckon we're going to deal in damage? 70 damage per round. Okay. So this is probably going to be like 4d6. 46. This is going to be... I'm tempted to say force damage. Because it's him. It's himself that he is propelling in one direction and then returning. I think we're going to go 2d6 bludgeoning and 2d6 force damage. For each rolling separately each. No, we need to do this. We need to put this bit. All creatures in a line. Roll separate attacks for each creature. No, it's like that. I know how to do English. For each creature hit by this attack, Artanis gains 1 additional hit die for the purposes of 1 additional hit die for the purposes of field overload. This hit die is a separate resource and isn't tracked as part of Artanis's actual hit dice pool. I'm sure there's a better way to write that, but for now, we're going to do it like this. Because I'm the one writing this. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, okay. Artanis psionically propels himself along the line. In one direction along a 20-foot long by 5-foot wide line. I think maybe... No, this is fine. In one direction along a 20-foot by 5-foot wide line. Dealing 2d6 force damage. Then returning to his starting position. Yeah. And over the course of the attack, he's dealing that 46 damage. We may have to make it higher. Maybe we'll make it 48 because that's how big his hit dice is. We'll put it on 2d8s. That's fine by me. Like if we go 4d8, the average result is 18. 20, 12, 16, 22, 23. So that's not going to be a huge amount of damage. This is basically his way of repositioning himself. You'll see that later. No spoilers, stay tuned. As well as powering up his shield overload for when he needs it. His next ability is Twin Blades. This is very standard. This is basically going to be the name of his multi-attack. It's going to be called Twin Blades. But I think this is basically, it gives him reach. So we're going to go like this. Twin Blades. When Artanis makes a melee weapon attack, he rapidly dashes up to, let's say, 10 feet towards the... I think against a creature. He rapidly dashes up to 10 feet towards the target. Yep. Yeah, there we go. And he can... Artanis's... Actually, no. I think that's just going to be the name of his attack. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Twin blades. Let's grab all of this. Twin blades, melee weapon attack, +9 to hit, that's fine. 10 feet range. And we don't need to do this. And we're gonna make this, I'm feeling 3d6. I'm feeling 3d6 personally. I don't know why. Well, plus his strength, of course, which is a +4. There we go. When ARTANIS uses... Whoops, I forgot to do that. There we go. Cool. Twin blades needs to be column broken. There we are. Lovely. When ARTANIS uses... Can I... Yeah, there we go. How good is that? No, we need to go back just a little bit. There we go. Now that's going to be a little bit easier to see. When ARTANIS uses twin blades, he always rapidly dashes to within 5 feet. He always rapidly ends his attack. Because his weapons aren't reach weapons. He just does a dash. That's what he does. When he uses twin blades, he rapidly dashes to be within 5 feet of his target. There we go. So for his actions, his multi-attack can be ARTANIS. How do they word it? ARTANIS uses twin blades up to 2. I think we can use twin blades twice and blade dash once. There we go. I'm wondering if we make Blade Dash a recharge ability on like a 4 to 6. Maybe a 3 to 6. Because it's pretty powerful. Although no, because it can only add up to 4 dice. Yeah. No, yeah, that's fine. So as part of his attack, his action, he can, yep. Okay, the next thing is we need to make a bonus action for an ability called Phase Prism. Bonus actions, maybe? Phase Prism. Okay, so this ability is quite fun. He fires a Phase Prism that deals a little bit of damage, a really small amount of damage, and swaps the position of himself and someone else. If he hits a hero in Heroes of the Storm, that's a player, he gains Unstoppable, which means he cannot be, he cannot be stunned, slowed, affected by conditions or anything. And the fun part is it could be used during Blade Dash. So the thing that he can do, of course, is he can launch himself forwards and then fire it out at someone. And instead of returning to his location, the swap supersedes whatever the conditions of the Blade Dash were going to be. So you can do a lot of really clever things with ARTANIS in Heroes of the Storm because of this. So, bonus action, Phase Prism. This is an attack. This is a ranged, I think this is technically a ranged spell attack. With a plus, for this, I think he's a charisma guy. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 8 to hit. And this is going to be like a 10-foot range. On a hit, it deals a very small amount of damage, like a d6 plus 3 force damage. And the target... Oh, I forgot. after the range, one creature. Yeah, there we go. I forgot to do that. And the target creature, yeah, on a hit, 1d6 plus 3 force damage. Then Artanis and the target creature have their positions swapped. And we put in, if Artanis can he use his reaction to do this? I think so. Can use his reaction to using his reaction, Artanis can use Phase Prism at any point along the path of his blade dash. Yeah, using his reaction, Artanis can instead use Phase Prism at any point along the path of his blade dash, interrupting his own return to his starting position, swapping his position with the target he hits with Phase Prism instead. So I think that makes sense. Using his reaction, he can instead use Phase Prism at any point along the path of his blade dash, interrupting his own return to his starting position, swapping his position with the target he hits with Phase Prism instead. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And there are talents, of course, that you can take. So, now we come to his ult. So what he has in Heroes of the Storm, the conceit is his flagship, the Spear of Adun, is above the battlefield somewhere. And he can make it do stuff. It can fire a suppression pulse, which deals damage and blinds enemies within limited range, or Purifier Beam, where for the next 8 seconds, this big beam of energy goes blah, and it follows them around. So I think those are probably going to be special villain actions for him. I say villain actions, but this is more like a heroic action, like a legendary action. But in the context of this stat block, he is a bad guy. So we're gonna go villain actions. How did I write it for Malzahar? Because that was the last one that we did, because I want to keep the same... Excuse me. The same language. Okay, so I use 4. Okay. There we go. Can be taken in any order, but only once per round and once per day. Which I... Excuse me. I don't know if that's precise, but that's how mine are going to work, at least for now. So the first one is... so the first, as I say, the first action is always the... One of them is going to be the get into position action. Which, let's see if we can sort of mine one of his talents for this. There's Reactive Parry, Amateur Opponent, Protector of Ire. I think, maybe Solarite Reaper increases the damage of the first dash of Blade Dash. So maybe he opens with a Blade Dash. Or not necessarily open, but he would be able to get a free use of a Blade Dash, but it's empowered. So let's see, let's see what the talents are, because in League of Legends and Dota, you have the shop, and you can buy items. In Heroes of the Storm, there are no items. It is all shared experience, and at certain levels, you gain a talent. It is some sort of passive or sometimes active extra ability that you get that boosts your kit, and over the course of the game, you choose different ones from game to game, depending on what the situation is. So I think Solarite Reaper is going to be the name of this action. How it's going to work is, I think it's going to be a combination of these different talents that affect the Blade Dash from the video game. So we've got Solarite Reaper, Templar Zeal, lower cost, and each time Shield Overload activates, reduce the cooldown of Blade Dash. That's kind of cool. Overload activates, reduce the cooldown by 1 round, basically. I'm just writing these down on a notepad. Cool. What else is there? Are those the only ones? Yeah, I think so. So I think, yeah, I think maybe Solarite Reaper is going to be Artanis uses Blade Dash. Expending up to... You know what? Yeah, I think this is going to allow him to pop his shield overload at the very beginning of a fight, if he wants to. He doesn't necessarily have to do that. Could be taken into order. These actions can be taken at the beginning of another. At the beginning of another creature's turn before that creature's turn begins. Can be taken when another creature would take their turn. Yeah, Artanis uses Blade Dash, expending up to, let's say, because what is 14 divided by 3? You can't, 14... 3, 6, 9, 12. You can't really quarter 14. That's 3. So I think we're going to say expending up to 4 hit dice and triggering Shield Overload for free. The damage he deals with this usage of Blade Dash increases by 4d6. Yep. I think increases the force damage by 4d6. So yeah, one of the things that he can do, he can open with a very powerful Blade Dash, and then of course he can use his reaction to fire out his Phase Prism if he wants to. Action number 2. What else have we got? Suppression Pulse. Suppression Pulse and Profire Beam, because one of the abilities for villain actions should always be the, oh no, I've been crowd controlled, I'm in trouble, I need to mess with the heroes, I need to mess with my adversaries in some way to make them get off of me. So that's probably going to be Suppression Pulse. Suppression Pulse, action 2. This, Artanis' flagship, the Spear of Adun, fires a pulse of energy in a... because it's a big area for suppression pulse. It's a really big area. I think this is going to be like a 40-foot radius. Yeah, like basically an entire battlefield, probably. Fires a pulse of energy in a 40-foot radius. On a location centered on a point ARTANIS can see. He just needs to see the damn thing. All creatures, except for ARTANIS, of course, because he's immune to it. All creatures hostile to ARTANIS? No, because I want this to be something where, like, he could hit his own forces. He might hit his own forces. Because in Heroes of the Storm, you kind of get it, because there is no friendly fire, but this is D&D. This is very, very different. So... yeah, I think just... all creatures within the radius that are not ARTANIS must succeed on a... What's the thing here? It's hard DC. This is going to be a hard DC. So they reckon 18. So this is basically a case of 8 plus 5 is 13. 16, 17, 18. Okay, that works. Must succeed on a DC 18, I think Constitution save. We don't see a lot of con saves out there. Constitution save or be blinded. Saving throw or become blinded until the end of ARTANIS's next turn. Makes it easy to track. Yeah, or take... this is going to be some amount of damage. I think probably 4d8 plus 3... No, just 4d8. No, 5d8. Screw it. 5d8 force damage, or become blighted on until the end of ARTANIS' next turn. Creature that succeeds on this saving throw is not blinded. You're gonna take the damage because it's this like horrific blast of force energy. Because well, the fun part is, damage immunity's force, so ARTANIS isn't gonna be able to get hurt either. Yep, that's fine. So that's that ability. How is it upgraded? I think he just gives it a second charge, right? Gains an additional charge, yeah. Basically, the higher CR version of ARTANIS would be 2 of these. The other one, of course, is the You Will Remember Me ability. Action 3. The ult, the League of Legends ultimate ability, the MOBA ult ability, everyone knows what these are. It's the thing that makes you go, oh yeah, that's what this guy does. Like, fear him. Fear him, for his ult is dangerous and full of power. So this is, how is it written on the card, essentially? It is, target an enemy hero with an orbital beam from the Sphere of Adun, dealing 184 damage per second for 8 seconds. Now, we're not going to deal 184 damage, that would be ridiculous, and it chases the target as they move. At ARTANIS' flagship, the Sphere of Adun. No, we need to write this a little bit differently. ARTANIS chooses a creature he can see. It becomes the target of a powerful beam of energy fired from the Sphere of Adun, which paces them at a rate of, I think, probably 30 feet per round. Because then what you have to do is you have to be moving faster than 30 feet. So the first hit is going to hit you, but then it's going to be going blah all across the terrain. When Artanis uses this action, and at the start of his turn for the next 2 turns, 2 rounds, any creature within a 5-foot radius cylinder, a powerful beam of energy, 5 foot in a 5-foot radius, and as tall as the spear of Adun is in the air. It becomes the target of a powerful beam of energy in a 5-foot radius. 5-foot radius cylinder, which is as tall as the spear Adun is in the air. When Artanis uses this action at the start of this turn for the next 2 rounds, any creature within the cylinder... You know what? Let's make this a 10-foot radius. Because if we go... Well, oh no, 5-foot radius is 4 squares. Yeah. Any creature within the cylinder just takes damage. Takes 8d6 force damage. Yep. If the cylinder... We've got to go... The beam follows the targeted creature until Artanis ends it as a free action. The Spear of Adun is disabled. It is disabled from on board the Spear of Adun. Or Artanis is killed. You have to kill him. Reduce him to 0, that doesn't do a thing. You have to kill him. Well, even then, he gives the command. He's not the one doing it. Until Artanis ends it as a free action, or it is disabled from on board the Spear of Adun. Done. So that means that one of the things that you can do, if you've watched the stream, or if you know anything about it, or just through research, maybe you want to infiltrate his ship beforehand. Or organize it so that you have people infiltrating so that when he tries to use this action, it doesn't work. That would be quite cool. The beam follows the targeted creature until he ends it. Yep. Creature at a rate of 30 foot speed. 30 foot. Because I need to have it so that it is clear what happens. When he uses this action at the start of his turn for the next 2 rounds, and if the cylinder passes through any creature, at the start of his turn for the next 2 rounds, and if the cylinder passes through any creature, that's fine. It's a little bit double-uppy, but you get the idea. A creature within the cylinder takes 8d6 force damage. So basically, the first hit's free for him, but then you get a chance to just start running. And guess what? It's force damage. Artanis is immune to force damage. One of the things I'd like to do... Because there's all these different talents that upgrade his different abilities. I think a higher CR version of him, you'd be able to sort of add on, like buy, like a budget, like a challenge rating budget. You'd be able to buy these different upgrades. Follows the targeted creature at a rate of 30 feet until it ends as part of its normal duration. Artanis ends it as a free action, or it is disabled from onboard the Spear of Adun. There we go. Amazingly, in record time, we're kind of done. We're kind of done. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do some loot. We're going to do some loot. A page break. And we're going to do Artanis's equipment. Do we want it to be like this or like this? Yeah, Artanis's equipment. He has Protoss Psyblades. Yeah, we'll do it like that. These are rare, I think. I think we're going to call them Hierarch's Psyblades. Rare. God, how do they even write them? Roll20.net, and we want to look up just like a weapon. Oh, come on. ND5E Flame Tongue. So this is weapon. Rare. Requires attunement by a creature with a psionic feat or psionic powers. Yeah, by a psionic creature or a creature that has a psionic feat or psionic powers of manifesting psionic powers, pointing, of course, to the talent from the very talented MCDM team. Okay, let's see. Where's that? We actually need to reopen. Okay. These dual... Whoops. These dual psionic blades deal... How much does a longsword deal? D5E longsword. I think it's a D8. Yeah, it's a D8. Deal 1d8 force damage on a successful melee weapon attack. No. Can be treated as longswords, but can be wielded normally without the requirement for two-weapon fighting, only as one-handed weapons. So you're supposed to use them together. Yeah. without the requirement for 2-weapon fighting or martial weapon proficiency. Yep. But you have to be attuned to them to be able to do that. Are treated as long swords. Yeah. When attuned to this pair of psionically charged blades, there we go. They are treated as long swords, but can be wielded normally without the requirement for 2-weapon fighting. Wielded and attacked with normally without the requirement for 2-weapon fighting or martial proficiency. They can only be used as one-handed weapons. Actually, no. Used normally without that. Yeah, they can only be used as one-handed weapons. And when you take the attack action with one of them, you can attack with the other. On a hit, they deal... They're treated as long sword. Yeah, they're treated as long swords, dealing force damage instead of slashing. Whoops. Yeah. Yeah. They're treated as long swords, dealing force damage instead of slashing. Can be used normally without requirement for 2-weapon fighting or martial weapon proficiency. Yep. They can only be used as one-handed weapons, and when you take the attack action with one of them, you may attack with the other. On a hit, they deal... No, we don't need to do that anymore. I think just you gain the following benefits. And then we do this. They can be used normally without blah 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 blah. You may use them in the following ways. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Because otherwise it's not clear that all of this is meant to be... Yeah. They're treated as long swords, dealing force damage instead of slashing. Actually, I think that's like... That's fine. Anyone can use them that way. These psionically charged weapons are treated as long swords, dealing force damage instead of slashing damage. While you are attuned to them, you may use them in the following way. Yeah, this pair of here we go. While you are attuned to them. Here we go. That's better writing. That's way better writing. While you're attuned to them, let's drop that down. While you're attuned to them, they can be used normally without the requirement for 2-weapon fighting or martial weapon proficiency. And while they can only be used as one-handed weapons, when you take the attack action with one of them, you may attack with the other. Additionally, a creature attuned to this pair of blades is treated as having 10-foot 10-foot reach. Uh, it's having 10 feet of reach. Psionically propelling themselves towards their creature they attack. Psionically, that's a get out of here, stupid spell check. Additionally, a creature attuned to this pair of blades is treated as having 10 feet of reach, psionically propelling themselves to within 5 feet of a creature they attack with the blades. Cool. Then we go Hierarch's armor. This is, I think this is going to be like plate armor, to be honest. Because, like, you look at the guy. Look at that. That looks like plate armor to me. So he's going to have a really high AC. But I don't want to give him 18 AC, because I think it's very reductive. I don't mind doing it, but it's not the greatest. I really don't want to have to do that. So I wonder if we can choose something else instead. Let's open up our little intranet here and have a look at our armors. So maybe it's counted as chain. Nah, I think it's plate. I just think it's plate. He's a tank. He's a tank. He's really hard to kill. So it's just 18. AC 18. Hierarch's plate. There we go. And this is going to be artifact. We need to find out how artifacts are worded. D&D 5e artifact. D&D Beyond. Good old D&D Beyond. Because this is going to be like a legendary artifact. We don't want that. We want to look at like the regular everyday wondrous item. It's not a wondrous item. Here we go. Are these all counted as wondrous items? Nah. Wonderwalker's weapon. Okay. So we basically want to have this as armor. Is it plate mail? Is that what it's called? Is it plate mail or just plate? Plate armor. Yeah, armor, plate. And then the rarity is artifact. It's not legendary, yeah. And also requires... You gotta be psionic to be able to use this stuff properly. Yep. This suit of... Whoop. Psionically reverberant? Is that a real word? Yeah. The suit of psionically reverberant plate marks the wearer as the leader of the Daylam. Who the hell are the Daylam? Are they just the Protoss Protectorate? It's the unity government of the Kalai Nerizim Purifiers and some Teldarim. Yeah. of the Dalam. The blah 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 blah. The unity government of the Kalai, Nerazim, Protoss, and some Teldarin Protoss. The Protoss species. There we go. So if you're going around wearing this and the wrong people see you with it, they're going to be like, "Whoa, hold on, how'd you get hold of that?" When not attuned, when worn but not attuned, a creature gains the benefits of plate armor and resistance to force damage. I think just immunity to force damage. Creature attuned to this armor does not require the with heavy armor to wear it. Gains... Oh god, how does the manifestation roll for the talent work again? You have to roll like equal to or under, I think. Gains... How are we gonna do this? No, I don't think we're gonna screw around with that. And gains the shield overload feature. Shield overload. As a reaction to taking damage. That would, while you have, or while you are at or below half of your maximum hit points, you can first gain you can first expend up to half of your hit dice. Yeah, a creature attuned to this armor does not require proficiency with... Yeah, it is fitted with a powerful shield generator that reacts to psionically attuned. Attuned, allowing them to trigger to protect themselves by a combination force of will and advanced machinery. I don't really like it. I'm not a huge fan. But it's basically a way to explain away the fact that only a psionic creature gets the shield overload. You can first expend up to half of your hit dice. Plus your Constitution modifier for each hit die expended. You can first expend and roll up to half of your hit dice, plus your Constitution modifier each hit die expended. You gain temporary hit points equal... No, this is what we do. Your temporary hit points equal to the amount rolled plus your constitution modifier for each hit die expended. I don't know how to spell constitution. And this is not letting me do it. Alright. Constitution. Whoop. That's not right either. There we go. Is that how I wrote this? No, I didn't. I can write that better. No, I'm not going to assume the intelligence of the people who use this. An ARTANIS would take damage while at or below half of his maximum hit points. He can first use his reaction to expend up to half of his maximum hit dice. Rolling those dice and gaining the total plus his constitution modifier for each hit die expended in temporary hit points. Okay, cool. No, I wrote that well. Cool. Cool. So we've got his weapons and we have his blades. I wonder if we give the blades a special attack. I think maybe the blades confer the blade dash ability. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. I can leave it there. Blade dash is an ARTANIS ability. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Did I get everything? I think so. Damage immunities force, condition immunities frightened, damage resistances, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical and psychic. That's fine by me. Oh, I don't think I wrote this very well. And triggering shield overload as a free action. No. Uses blade dash. And triggers shield overload as though he had expended 4 hit dice. That's what we want. Yeah. There we go, that's better. So he has a reaction, which is technically his phase prism. He's got his extra psionic communication because he's a Protoss and they talk weird. He has shield overload, which is his big ability. Blade dash is pretty wild. I don't think I've written that very well. I think I need to give it... There we go, that's better. I think we need to do this as well. There we go. I think then returns, not returning. For each creature hit by this attack, he gets... Yeah. Not limited or pulled from his pool of available hit dice. Yeah, that's way better. That's way better. Good lord. That's way better. Okay, cool. Good. And I think that's it, to be honest. Yeah, We's like a dope picture of Artanis that we can stick in there. That's pretty good. Maybe this one? I think we'll probably just use this one again. Artanis is a pretty big dude, goddamn. I don't know if that's all Protoss, but I think like Artanis, like his shoulder plates, those are huge. Let's grab image. Then we're gonna go here, find that image. And then we're gonna go get rid of the brackets. Whoa, too big. Too big. How do we make that fit? Please reload the page. Okay, maybe they'll fix it. It did not. Nope. Location, top right, bottom left. What if we do this? What if we get rid of this? What happens? No, they didn't do anything at all. No. No, we're just not going to have a picture in there. That's fine. That's it. We did it. Record time for creative, but I'm very happy with the result. Yeah. I think the only thing that would be an accompaniment to this, if I were to make this into a product, which I couldn't because Blizzard would sue the living hell out of me, is make like an Assault on the Spear of Adun adventure to shut down his weaponry. The other part of this is, of course, that two of his abilities don't work if Artanis is on board his ship when you fight him. This is entirely predicated on you fighting him when he's on the ground, when he's not on board his ship. So I don't know how I would change that. It would probably just be whatever room that you're fighting in. Probably the bridge, right? The suppression pulse can be fired inwardly. The purifier beam can be fired from like machinery inside the room. So maybe I'll put something like that in there. Like we'll move this down and we'll put in one of those info blocks. Monster block. Description block. Note block. There we go. Artanis is... But we're fighting Artanis inside. Yeah. Suppression, pulse, and... the descriptions of... Pardon me. Suppression, pulse, and purifier beam are, of course, as you've likely noticed, predicated on the idea that you are fighting Artanis on a battlefield that takes place not inside a structure or even his flagship, the Spear of Adun. I think we're not actually going to make this like a note block. We're going to make this like a piece of advice. Yep. Let's see. Encounter advice. But we're fighting Artanis inside. Combat. to make the to still be able to use these two abilities while keeping it believable that he could have these abilities available to him. Consider the following. Or yeah, we'll just do this. Suppression pulse. Consider the following if your players have a combat encounter with ARTANIS that doesn't take place somewhere with something like a solid roof. Have ARTANIS produce some kind of device that emits the pulse. Something that if he doesn't get to use it, players might even be able to loot from him as a consumable one-time item. Purifier beam. Protoss have all kinds of crazy technology, including portable shield and even black hole generators. It shouldn't seem a wild idea that ARTANIS has a machine, or much like about the expression pulse advice above, a handheld device that can reproduce the same effect. Alternatively, if ARTANIS doesn't have any qualms about collateral damage in your particular combat encounter, you could have him activate the Purifier beam anyway, which means you get to describe the roof of the structure you're fighting in becoming obliterated by a immensely powerful beam of energy. Bada bing, bada boom. Easy, easy peasy. Always remember, folks, you're a GM. I'm sure you can make it happen. Oh, but it doesn't say it on the stat block. That's fine. Just make it up. This is all made up anyway. None of the things that I design here are set in stone. They are. I don't own them. I don't own this property. I'm just doing this because I find it fun. And until Blizzard or Valve or Riot comes and says, "Hey, stop turning our stuff into D&D homebrew," I mean, I don't make any money off this, so I don't know why they would. I'm just going to keep doing this because it's very, very fun. The design of MOBA characters, I mean, there's a reason that MOBAs are so dang popular. The design of them is really, really fun. And I love the design of Heroes of the Storm the most because of the whole talents thing. But that's it. I'm going to post this into the chat here for anyone at all to view. To use, do whatever you want with it. Oh, did I not? Oh, I need to update latest version. There we go. With that new advice in there. Why is it not in there? What the heck? Create new version? I think that's what I need to do. Maybe it just takes a little while. Okay, I'll post it later onto my Twitter, onto my Ko-Fi, onto all of the Discords that I'm in. Until then, record time, short stream, but I think an hour and a half to do something like this is perfectly reasonable. Maybe in future we will have additional homebrews to do. But thank you so much for watching, if indeed you still are. I am going to have myself some lunch. And then probably play some Heroes of the Storm, because this has got me in a Heroes of the Storm mood. Until next time, which is next week, we will be playing more Hellgate London, Everspace 2, probably Oaken, although I have just downloaded Lakey Studios' demo for Sand something. Just a moment, let's see. Sandwalkers? The not sequel. Their new game. They are the creators of Oaken. Sandwalkers. There we go. Sandwalkers Prologue. It's a demo. It's probably quite good because Oaken is quite good. But until next week, next time, next whenever, stay safe, be good to yourselves, and be good to others.